With a new name and an even better championship experience. Be a part of every moment of the Hometown Lenders Championship at the Ledges beginning tomorrow. Be a part of it. Check out the tickets online at htlchamp.com. In fact, our boys in the morning will be broadcasting from Falcon Crest bright and early tomorrow morning with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. We are live on campus here at Woody Anderson Ford, day before the draft begins, and we'll dive into that a little bit as there was definite news out of the National Football League today. He was introduced to the New York media.
I want to say thank you to Christopher and Woody for bringing me here. Obviously, Coach Sala, Joe Douglas, my agent, Dave Dunn. This is a surreal day for me. After spending 18 years in the same city, it's been a lot of introductions today, meeting a lot of people, but there's a lot of excitement. I'm here because I believe in this team. I believe in Coach Sala. I believe in the direction of Joe Douglas. Obviously, he's drafted really well the last couple of years, having an offensive and defensive rookie of the year. A big thanks to the Jets organization. Obviously, a big thanks to the Green Bay Packers organization for an incredible run. That chapter is over now, and I'm excited about the new adventure here in New York.
One other soundbite from Mr. Rogers.
They smoked us last year, so I knew they had a good team. We got to practice against them a couple years ago, and I got to get to know Robert a little bit more. And I've always loved what he's all about. We played him in San Fran a few times, and mostly they got the best of us. But I liked the way that he was leading, his coaching style. A big reason I'm here, I got to mention, is Nathaniel Hackett, who's here. Hack and I became really close friends for 3 years in Green Bay, and I love him like a brother. I believe in him. Really happy to be back working with him here. Obviously, Joe has got a great track record so far of drafting some incredible players, but it takes a system, and obviously Robert has the right sauce, so I'm excited about getting to work with him and Brick and Marquand, former teammate of mine, and it's a great staff, but I'm an old guy, so I want to be a part of a team that can win it all, and I believe that this is a place where we can get that done.
The updated Super Bowl odds, this as of an hour ago from the boys in Vegas. Here are the teams that have better odds to win the Super Bowl than the Jets. Here's your full list. The Chiefs, the 49ers, the Bills, the Eagles, and the Bengals. That's it, according to the folks out in the desert. Sound about right?
I don't know. You know, the NFL has become such a 1-2 guys get hurt. It just changes everything.
Yeah.
It seems like to me that they don't keep veterans around as much as they used to. They'll keep 10 of them, guys that are real difference makers, and then the others are, just popping from place to place based on the salary cap. And so it's kind of, you get 1 or 2 or 3 people hurt, and all of a sudden the guy coming in is not near as good as he used to be.
Yeah.
Before the salary cap. So, but they're getting paid a lot more too. So that's, you can't afford it's a totally different, I guess, even in the back office than it used to be, as far as the NFL.
I gave you the top half. Here's the bottom half at a plus 7,000. This is to win the Super Bowl. To win the Super Bowl. At a plus 7,000 are both the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. Of course, the Panthers with the first overall pick coming up tomorrow as they traded up to get that first overall pick. The Tennessee Titans are at a plus 8,000. So are the Washington Commanders. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's the Titans, Buccaneers, and Commanders all at a plus 8,000. The Colts at a plus 12,500. The Cardinals at a plus 15,000, and the Houston Texans at a plus 20,000 is the longest odds of them all, according to the odds makers.
I looked at a thing, the worst coaching firings ever. One was the Philadelphia Eagles, Andy Reid.
Yeah.
One was the Browns in
Belichick. Of course, that was during the move too.
What was the Green Bay Packer coach?
That whole move from Cleveland to Baltimore.
So what? Keep the coach. I mean, you don't fire the coach. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons too. I think
which one?
After they lost the Super Bowl and having to have a fall person for one game, they stuck
with Dan Quinn for a few more years after that. They didn't cut ties immediately with him.
They fired the offensive coordinator.
Shanahan went out to the 49ers. He had that job out in San Francisco.
Well, how long did they stay with Dan Quinn after that?
I want to say 3 years, 3 or 4.
I thought it was shorter than that. I remember. I don't know who was the longtime offensive coordinator for the Colts when Peyton paid for him.
So they gave Tom.
Remember they fired him after he got beat in the second round of the playoffs and then went downhill after that.
Can't think of his last name.
I think if you're making it to the playoffs, it's just a matter of time. It's when you stop making. I think these people pull the cord way too soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can get it if you back in 3 years in a row and the worst team in the playoffs will get beat, and you don't think that everything's going right. But if you got people hurt one year, you don't make it, and then they get rid of it. They pull the trigger way too fast.
Tom Moore. Thank you, Jordy Armin.
Thank you, Tom Moore. What a great coach he was.
Yeah.
I just think they don't stay with anybody long enough. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
There are a lot of colleges that are the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, coming up tomorrow up here in the Rocket City, the Auburn Ambush Tour will take over, and we are going to talk some Auburn football with Charlie Trotman coming up after our first time out. And the Ambush Tour stopped in Atlanta yesterday. Hugh Freeze talked about the new rules of the clock continuing to roll even after first downs outside of 2 minutes. Outside of 2 minutes. I feel like we need to say that a couple of times just so it will be jarring to see that clock rolling when you're seeing the sticks move and the clock is still rolling. But that is under 2 minutes the clock is going to stop in both the first half and the second half. But here's a little bit of portal talk as well as we're going to go fast from...
We're still, whether the clock starts or doesn't on the first down, we're still going to go fast. If we want to go fast, it doesn't change the rules of the game. I don't see it changing our strategy at all.
Spring transfer portal, has it been a little bit slower than you expected as far as kids getting into it?
It really has.
And do you still see an opportunity there for you to help yourself out and help yourself in the process?
Yeah, we really weren't sure what to expect, and I do think it's been quite a bit slower than I'm not sure that's a bad thing. And I'm not, of course we have the SEC agreement that we don't go SEC to SEC in this portal. And so I haven't really kept up with the number of kids that would have been of interest to for us. But outside of that, it's been quite a bit slower than probably what we anticipated. But they're still, look like it picked up a little bit today, maybe, in the last couple of days. And be curious to see what the rest of the week brings. But I think it's well documented that we're always trying to improve our roster, and so we're constantly monitoring.
Yeah, I did pick up a little bit yesterday when a certain Notre Dame quarterback entered the transfer portal.
That's interesting because what I understand is the Notre Dame guy is in Tuscaloosa right now.
Then he's going to Auburn, and then he's going to California. And on the subject of the portal, we are going to talk with Mr. Portal coming up later on here in this first hour. Chris Hummer, who that's all he does. His job description is he follows the portal
for
247 Sports.
So he's based out of Boulder, Colorado, right?
You would think so.
Yeah, so they have 40-something people in the portal?
Last I checked, it was 41, but I'll have to double check.
That is incredible. How are you going to win a game next year?
I do not know.
I mean, not that they won, but they won. They won
a game last year.
I mean,
so all you got to do is win 2 to double up.
That couldn't have been planned.
Well, from hearing from Coach Prime during this spring season, you got the impression only 3 kids earned their number. Only 3 kids.
Yeah, but you need 22, Steve.
I know. I know.
And sometimes, you can't just. I question at this time his methods.
John Cohen was asked about
he's doing Coach Bryant. They might not win a game the first year. Maybe the second year they're bought in. But
I'll tell you what, I'm going to hold off on this audio from John Cohen. He was asked about the potential schedule that we may all get to hear about in late May, early June, when the spring meetings fire up down in Destin. But we do need to fire up our first break as Charlie Trotman joins us after this timeout. Let's go ahead and do that right now. We'll talk some Auburn football with the former Auburn quarterback next.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or cruise on a Cobalt or Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
Flow Trampoline Park is your one-stop fun spot for your next birthday party. Whether you're a boy, girl, kid, or adult, Flow has you covered. Party packages allow up to 25 plus guests, so you'll be able to bring all of your friends. And with all the fun competition to be had at Flow, maybe enemies too. Party packages will give you access to 60 minutes of jump time, grip socks for all guests, a private party room, and a party coordinator. Flow is behind South Parkway and Drake, behind Cracker Barrel. For more information, go to flowhuntsville.com. Get jumping with Flow.
We've all heard the phrase, what's in a name? When it comes to your comfort, the name means everything. Environmental Comfort Systems is the name to remember when it comes to your home's comfort. Environmental means our systems are environmentally friendly, even more environmentally friendly than systems sold just a few years ago. And comfort, well, that's our middle name. Our systems are built to keep you and your family comfortable for years to come. And last but not least, we install systems, not units. Our systems are designed specifically for your home, based on your home's square footage and the way it faces the sun. Environmental Comfort Systems does more than just sell air conditioners. We install comfort systems that will make your home a more enjoyable place to live. So give Environmental Comfort Systems a call. We are your independently owned American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, serving Decatur, Madison, and the Tennessee Valley. Visit our website at envcomfort.com. Alabama license number 92314. Environmental Comfort Systems.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at Alumni Hall. Alumni Hall is the ultimate shopping experience for Alabama and Auburn fans. Located right here in Huntsville, come shop the best selection of officially licensed apparel, hats, Yeti, accessories, and gifts. Whether you're heading to the spring game or shopping graduation gifts or just love to show your school pride daily, come see us at Alumni Hall. University students, faculty, and military receive 10% off in store, and you can earn cash back with our Hall Pass rewards. Alumni Hall, located in Bridge Street Shopping Center, or shop anytime at alumnihall.com.
Now open, this is your invitation to experience the grand opening of ABIQ's new 10,000 square foot showroom. The best brands in home audio, home theater, and home automation. The place to see. and hear and feel and listen and watch. The place where you can audition top brand audio and video equipment before it goes in your home. World-class brands now available in Huntsville. Come experience the difference. 1833 University Drive, just east of the Parkway at the all-new aviqhsv.com.
Guys, music can inspire us. Let the concert quality sound system at Zoom Indoor Cycling help push you harder than you ever thought possible. No matter if you're a beginner or an experienced rider, you'll ride top-of-the-line Stages SC3 bikes as the most talented instructors in North Alabama motivate you to reach your goals.
You can do it!
Zone Indoor Cycling is this week's Zone deal. Get a $100 certificate for just $50. Get yours Thursday morning at 977ESPN.com. $2 specialty shoe rental per ride for new riders.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyandersonford.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
Back here at Woody Anderson Ford, along with Wes Neighbors, Steve Moulton back here with you. As I mentioned, the Auburn Ambush Tour is making their stop coming up tomorrow here in Huntsville, and that made me want to reach out to Charlie Trotman, and he's kind enough to join us. How are you, Charlie?
Steve, doing great. How you doing, Wes?
Doing great, Charlie. How are you been?
Yeah, everything's good, man. Everything's good. I hate to admit that I'm this old, but I just had cataract surgery this morning, and on the first one, you get them on both eyes generally, and so it was easy as pie, man. I've had all kind of orthopedic surgeries, and compared to those, man, this is like a breeze.
Well, I hope you can see clear. I don't know if it's instantaneous or if there is.
Don't you have to wear an eye patch for a little while?
Yeah, I have an eye patch on. I have to sleep in it tonight. I should be okay tomorrow. My eyes, a little scratchy, but other than that, man, I'm telling you, there's nothing to it.
Well, I'm glad you're doing well, Charlie.
You got your swashbuckler outfit on,
boy.
Going to bed?
Here we go. Here we go.
That's right. I'm a pirate.
Oh, goodness. Well, the stop in Atlanta, I heard from Coach Pearl as well as John Cohen, plus Hugh Freeze, and all of a sudden that portal thing started to populate a little bit more yesterday, and there is some optimism down there on the plains of who's populating the portal right now, Charlie.
Yeah, it kind of started out slow. The portal has been important to Auburn, even before it was called the portal. We got Nick Marshall through that, transfer, and, of course, everybody knows that Cam Newton came as a transfer, and so, Auburn's, they've done pretty well with Alabama has too, but Auburn's done pretty well with transfers, and they don't always pan out, but you don't know which ones are going to really be good until you get into the season, because a lot of them, they don't get there, just like the ones we're talking about now, they don't get there in time for spring training, so they have a summer workout, and then they go into fall practice. So it's kind of hard to tell what you've got until you get into pads in the fall.
There's no doubt about that. What are the expectations coming out of the spring, you think, for Auburn fans this season, Charlie?
Well, I think everybody's really excited, Steve and Wes, because Hugh Freeze, it brings what kind of a breath of fresh air from a recruiting standpoint. I mean, he did more in a month and a half than Brian Harsin did the whole time he was at Auburn. I mean, I feel like that Hugh Freeze understands the Auburn culture. I think, in a way, guys, that he's like Bruce Pearl, because I feel like he is going to be appreciative of the Auburn opportunity like Bruce Pearl because they came under similar circumstances. You know, they both had been in a little trouble, and Auburn gave them their opportunity. And I know Bruce Pearl's been very loyal to Auburn, and you know, and I think Hugh Freeze, I think, you know, he really kind of cherishes the opportunity, and you know, and of course everybody's worried about our quarterback situation, and I am too, but he is as good a quarterback coach as there is around that I'm aware of. And he's got, you know, Philip Montgomery and Ken Austin and some other guys that are all coaching the quarterbacks. And, you know, I don't know that he'll ask the quarterback to do everything that he's had his quarterbacks do at Ole Miss and at Liberty right away. But I think if Robbie Ashford or Holden Garner, you know, I don't think it'll be TJ Finley, but I think if those two guys can you know, perform to a level that he's satisfied, I think Auburn could win a good number of games this year. I don't know. I mean, the schedule's obviously brutal like it always is, but Auburn's got Georgia and they got Alabama at home. You know, those are important aspects of that series because Auburn's not very successful on the road, hadn't been very successful against either one a whole lot, but, you know, when they have been, it's been at Auburn. So I'm, you know, predicting a number of games, I don't know. You know, if I had a gun to my head, I'd probably say, you know, 7 or 8 games that Auburn could win. You know, if they got on a roll and Robbie Ashford, now that's with what I've seen. That's with what I've seen of Robbie Ashford and Holden Garner. But if they got on a roll now and they started getting great play out of the quarterback, that could go up to, you know, maybe 9 or 10 games.
Do you think Robbie Ashford end up being the starter?
I do, and the reason I do, excuse my dog's barking, but
Bob doesn't agree.
Clearly there is some disagreement inside the Trotman household.
That's right. I think he will. He's such a great athlete, and you saw in the Alabama game last year what kind of runner he is.
Well, he made a couple good, really good. He made one of the best passes I saw all year.
Yeah,
on the touchdown pass on 3rd and 15. Yeah,
in that corner for a touchdown that was probably his best pass of the year. But Robbie is you know, he comes from a baseball background as well as football, and he still throws the ball a little bit like a baseball because. You know, when a quarterback rolls out, he rolls out full speed, but right when he's about to throw, he kind of throttles down a little bit and then makes a real steady and kind of a poised throw. You don't just throw the ball as hard as you can and at full speed because you're just not as accurate. And he's got to learn that. That was something that he didn't know last year, and at least they didn't work on it last year. And but I expect him to be a better quarterback. I think he's going to have a better offense to run. I think it's going to be more not that it's pass happy because it's not, because you know Hugh Freeze likes to run the ball too. But you know with Hunter and Amari Alston and some of the other guys. You got the Brian Beatty that came in for Florida, a little running back that's a scat back. I mean, Auburn could be dangerous if they don't turn the ball over and they don't you know, just fall apart at the quarterback position. I mean, it could be an offense that by mid-season people are saying, hey, you know, Auburn's got a better chance to win this particular game. Let's say it's a game like against an Arkansas or somebody. You know, then everybody will say Auburn's going to be favored in this game. You know, could be a situation.
I think Auburn will be favored against Arkansas.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good possibility.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on what kind of play we get out of the quarterback early on.
So do you feel comfortable everywhere? I mean, you're good at running back.
O-line, we've been talking about O-line for forever.
What about wide receiver, O-line? Those are two places that last year were shaky at times.
We got some bodies at Camden Brown and Amari Kelly and Coy Moore, and we got this new kid Fairweather that is a big tight end that's a good receiver, and we got some bodies at that position. Javarius Johnson's back, and but I don't know how. I just don't know how good the quarterbacks are going to be in getting the ball to the running back. I mean, to the wide receivers and the tight ends. Now, hopefully, we got more tight ends. I mean, guys, if it was a competition in tight ends, Auburn would be in the top 5 in the country because we got Fairweather, you got the Tyler Fromm, and
Luke Deal.
Who was the guy that made the catch 2 years ago as a freshman?
Oh, goodness.
That guy. I was surprised he didn't make a move last year. He's number 40, I think, or was.
Yeah, he is a guy that I'm trying. Landon King.
Thank you.
Yeah, he is a guy that could play in the slot. He's not going to play tight end because they just have too many people, and he's lost some weight. He's 6'5" and about 210.
So he's kind of like an H-back type guy. You move around. Possession receiver.
Yeah.
Right.
I like Landon King. I've liked him. Man, like you say, that catch you made against Alabama.
It's unbelievable.
It really was.
Yeah. That was fourth down too. Big catch. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I like our specialist. I think we're going to have a good field goal kicker. Our punter is back for his senior year, and he's one of those Aussie punters. And then defense. The big thing, we just lost Jeffrey Imba in the transfer portal. He went to Purdue, and so these guys that we got in in the transfer portal, and then Harris and some of these guys that are veterans, on the Auburn defensive line, have got to play well. If Auburn has, a defensive line that can control the line of scrimmage, I like the defensive backs, Pritchard and James at cornerback, and Kaufman and some of those other guys that are playing good at safety. And then the linebackers, Auburn's always had a stellar linebacker. Somebody like Owen Pappo last year. Yeah. They always have somebody that steps up and is a stellar linebacker. And
Deshaun Davis.
I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know who it's going to be this year, but we got Cam Riley, and there's this new kid, this Keldrick Falk that's coming in. Now he's an edge rusher, but he's a true freshman out of Highland Home, and they say he's a beast, and so there's some players that if they play up to their potential, they're coached well. That's the big thing, guys, is that, Auburn just wasn't very well coached last year or the last couple of years. They just really weren't. And it showed, it showed that the kids fought hard. They played hard for Harsin, actually. They didn't give up like they did in 2012. They just weren't well coached, in my opinion. I mean, they played against, for instance, Arkansas. They played, or was it Texas A&M. Texas A&M came in. Auburn, could have easily been in that game. They were in it for the most part, and then Texas A&M kind of walked away with it at the end. But that was a team that if they were well coached, they would have beaten Texas A&M, because Texas A&M was not that good last year. But they were a step ahead of Auburn at every turn from a coaching standpoint in that game. So that's got to improve, and I think it will.
Well, maybe the worst kept secret was this time a year ago, we were of the discussion of which is going to leave sooner, the football coach or the AD. And now here we are in 2023 with a new football coach, a new athletic director. I guess when things finally shake out this fall, we'll know the answer to this question. But at least from an immediate response, how has the Auburn Nation taken to a new AD and a new football coach, Charlie?
Very well. Very well. I mean, you know, there was a time when everybody was saying, "Man, we got to get Lane Kiffin. We got to get Lane Kiffin. He's the key." And then when we got Hugh Freeze came in, had his press conference, started talking on the different platforms about what he was going to do at Auburn and the opportunity they had at Auburn, and he just seemed like an Auburn guy. You know, he just fit the mold. And Lane Kiffin, God bless him, he might have been great at Auburn, but Auburn wouldn't have been anything special for Lane Kiffin. I mean, you know, he's been at a lot of different places. He's coached in a lot of different circumstances. Auburn would have just been the next step. He wouldn't have stayed there if something else had come up a few years later. A guy like Hugh Freeze, I could see him staying at Auburn for 15 years, you know, if he does well. So I just think, you know, Auburn fans they've taken to Hugh Freeze, and I, you know, venture to say that they're going to give him every opportunity to do well. And then John Cohen, you know, SEC guy, knows everybody in the conference, is well respected. Don't know. I'm not privy to exactly what kind of job our former AD did, but I know that, you know, that he did a lot of things, little things that didn't make sense, like making the players stay in second class hotels and you know, telling them that they couldn't get extra smoothies, you know, on the meat. You know, you go in and you get your food on the training table, and then if you want an extra smoothie, I mean, what's the big deal? But you know, it's like penny pinching. You know, was concerned about using too much paper, and you know, it was like somebody had given him the directive to go save money in any manner, shape, or form that you can. But I know a lot of the coaches were upset, and people in administration didn't like it. And I don't know. I don't specifically know if it was him or if he was told to do that. But you know, we don't have the same president of the university anymore.
That's true too. Yeah.
You know, we don't have the same AD. We don't have the same head football coach. So they're all new, and evidently they're all doing a very good job. And I think Auburn fans are happy.
Well, he's seeing clearer now, and he is Charlie Trotman.
He'll be seeing clearer tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, and moving forward.
And that dog's barking because he's wondering who let the pirate in the house.
Right. Yeah, who is that guy?
Thank you, Charlie. Great insight.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Always appreciate you, Charlie. That is Charlie Trotman, kind enough to join us. We are going to go inside the portal coming up next, as all things portal is covered by Chris Hummer from 247. He's been a busy fella here over the last 28 hours, if you will. Let's go ahead and take our final time out here in hour number one. We head to the portal next.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. If you've been considering owning a new Mustang, Explorer, Expedition, Edge, Escape, or Bronco Sport, we have 0% financing for 60 months on 22 models of those vehicles. This won't last long because as we sell off our 2022s, 0 for 60 goes with it. When they're gone, they're gone. Let me repeat, Woody Anderson Ford has 22 models of Bronco Sport, Explorer, Escape, Edge, Expedition, and Mustang with financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months. But when they're gone, it's gone. And of course, it's with your good credit through Ford Motor Credit. This offer ends April 29th. Woody Anderson Ford can also help you trade in and trade up on a Ford Blue Advantage Gold Certified or Blue Certified pre-owned vehicle. Great warranties, 24-hour roadside assistance, and a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Don't forget 0 for 60 on select 22 models while they last. Woody Anderson Ford, hope to see you soon.
Is I had a few too many happening too often? Does I'm stopping at 2 drinks become more like 4 or 5? You're not alone. 1 in 7 people struggle with alcohol. Bradford can help. For over 40 years, Bradford's affordable rehab programs have helped people overcome addiction and return to healthy, productive lives. Call 888-SOBER-40 for confidential help 24/7. Start your comeback with Bradford. Call 888-SOBER-40 or visit bradfordhealth.com.
I'm Olympic gold medalist Rowdy Gaines, and I'm recommending you register for the 40th Annual Alabama State Games, happening June 9th through June 11th in Birmingham. Athletes of all ages and abilities will participate in any of the 25 team or individual sports. Registered athletes have the opportunity to win up to $4,000 in academic scholarships to add to the over $335,000 already awarded. Registered at alagames.com. That's ALAGAMES.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that, chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at BadDaddy'sBurgerBar.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky this afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the low and mid-60s. We're going to maintain the opportunity for scattered showers and thunderstorms through a good majority of the afternoon, even as we head into the evening. This pattern is going to continue across the Tennessee Valley as we head into your Thursday. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky, scattered showers and thunderstorms, though it is going to be a little bit warmer. Temperatures climbing into the upper 60s and lower 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Greeny with Mike Greenberg.
This is Mike Greenberg. You're listening to 97.7 ESPN The Zone, your home of ESPN Radio, the Alabama Crimson Tide, Atlanta Braves baseball, Huntsville Havoc hockey, and the UAH Chargers.
Back here on campus at Woody Anderson Ford, along with Wes Neighbors, Steve Moulton back here with you. Our next man on the docket, boy, he's been busy over the last day and a half, and I imagine it's going to ramp up even more before it finally, the lock is going to be turned key, if you will, come Sunday night. And Chris Summer follows all things Portal from 247 Sports. Chris, nice to have you. How are you doing this evening?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's glad to have you on, first and foremost, Chris. There is a lot of moving parts in this portal with different conferences doing different things, and really the last 24 hours with a certain Notre Dame quarterback. How much of that day took up most of your time yesterday, Chris?
I wouldn't say it took up. I mean, it took up a decent amount. You certainly have to make calls, but I think the Tyler Buckner specifically, I would say, was a surprise. But once he went in the portal, I think it was pretty obvious. Like when you just talk to people around college football, what the likely result would be. So the specific instant of him entering, definitely a surprise because he's somebody that rebuffed going in the portal earlier in the year. But the actual element after that, not so much, because I think it's been telegraphed pretty well since he entered.
From that telegraphing right there, is that getting easier to predict or harder to predict on what these individual kids are doing? Because the portal is quite populated at the moment.
I mean, I wish it was easy, but I guess like everybody could do it. I mean, I don't know. It's definitely a lot to track, man. Like, what are we at right now? We're at close to 3,000 players in the portal. And I would imagine, actually, we're well over 3,000 players at this point. So we're tracking towards potentially breaking last year's record, which I believe was right around like 3,200. And if you extrapolate like scholarships out of that, you're probably looking at like 2,500 players, like 2,400. And then if you think about it, that's like 20% of the FBS right there. So it's certainly a lot.
So how many of the players didn't get a landing spot last year?
I think that data is like hard to find. I've done it in the past. Where it's been almost like a 50-50 shot to find a spot. If you're like a FBS scholarship player, it's like 52% do get one and 48% don't. I mean, on the FBS level specifically. I think it was a little better last year. Teams had more room to sign scholarship players last year with the 7 extra counters that they were allowed. And this year, I would imagine the retention rate's actually a little better because teams can sign up to 85, so there's just a lot of bodies that end up somewhere. But I think it's still a pretty big risk in the transfer portal. You're still having a lot of guys that end up without a chair in the game of musical chairs that is the portal.
So, Colorado, 51 people are now in the portal. 51 people. How do you recover from that? Sign 52? I mean, but a lot of those guys are pretty good players.
Yeah, I mean, Deion Sanders told one of my coworkers today, Carl Reed, that they only didn't want to lose one of the 50-something. I don't really know if I buy that. I'm going to be honest. I'm sure a lot of people are skeptical about that. The idea is that for a roster that went 1-11 last year, you're just going to go to the portal and upgrade at every position, and that sounds awesome on paper. But then you just have to consider that this portal cycle isn't that great necessarily. There's a lack of depth across the board at key positions, particularly along the line of scrimmage. And I agree with the question. Like, it's going to be very difficult for Colorado to replace that. They might have a really nice starting 22 by the end of this, but depth, key players so you could practice well. Like, there's going to be a lot of questions about this Colorado team.
So, I have a lot of questions because you get a job, you're supposed to put 85 guys out there or have 85 guys available.
Yeah.
and you're supposed to coach them and make them better, right? I mean, I get getting rid of some of them, but just throwing these kids away and pushing them away is not the right thing. I don't agree with Deion doing it. We'll have to see what it ends up being. You know, it's hard to believe there's 51 players that he wanted gone, or 50 of the 51. That's just, to me, that's kind of not what a coach is supposed to do. You're supposed to make them better.
Yeah, and I mean, you could certainly make that argument, and I probably would too. But I think it's the professionalization of college football in a way. The NCAA, people think that number is crazy about people who've entered from Colorado, but there's actually an NCAA rule that allows first-year coaches to essentially cut players as long as their scholarships are honored. So the NCAA is allowing this, and it's just a really extreme example of it. I would agree. I think really great coaches can take whatever pieces they have and make a great meal, I guess is a mixed metaphor there. Mm-hmm. And Deion Sanders is clearly choosing to go a different route. Is it wrong? I don't know. I don't think Colorado's going to be very good this year, but they weren't very good last year either, and only time will tell on that. But it's certainly an extreme strategy, and it certainly flies in the face of a lot of what we've seen traditionally in the sport.
There is no question about that. Talking to Chris Hummer from 247 Sports right now, talking all things portal. Is there any other Power 5 that has adopted what the SEC adopted, meaning this round SEC players cannot go to another SEC school?
No, it's the SEC specific rule. Yeah, just one conference.
Wow. So it feels like that's a little bit of a hindrance, is it not?
I think that just depends on your perspective. You can't poach another SEC roster, but at the same time, your roster can't get poached by another SEC team. It probably hurts a Florida or an Auburn, a team that with a lot of holes that would love to fill those roster spots from lesser SEC schools potentially, especially at the quarterback position in some cases. But I've definitely talked to some SEC coaches that are thrilled that their players can't be poached by SEC schools, because a lot of these guys, that's where they want to play, and frankly, that's where a lot of the NIL money is. And without those schools' ability to go out and kind of take from each other, you're protecting your own rosters. I personally think it's an advantage for the SEC. I think as a coach, generally, it's better to know that your next door neighbor can't just take your best player from you at any time. Otherwise, I think the incestuous nature of recruiting in that conference would be super extreme as you approach the end of spring ball, when teams have a very clear idea of their holes. But I mean, you could certainly argue it the other way too. I tend to look at it. I think it's, for most teams in the SEC, I actually think it's an advantage.
So, are you hearing any names out there that are big names that might be thinking about
last-minute portal entries?
Yeah, sticking their foot in the portal.
I don't. I would be responsible to speculate like that. But yeah, I mean, certainly there are always rumors flying about guys, and I certainly don't hear about everybody either. Tyler Buckner again took me by surprise, but in some cases, some of these guys are expected to, and they end up at the place you expect them to go pretty quickly. But yeah, it'll be an interesting couple days. I think you're going to see teams be very aggressive, and I feel really bad for Group of 5 programs in this situation, because you're going to see a lot of Power 5 teams have holes to fill, and they're going to go to the levels that can't really afford to keep them, in a lot of cases, literally afford. So you could see some craziness late, and there's still one or two teams that need a quarterback where you could see something splashy happen potentially. So we got, fortunately for fans and people interested in it, and unfortunately for my sleep schedule, we got a ways to go till Sunday.
So a big story last week that we did talk about on the air, Tyler Van Dyke, did he actually ever officially enter the portal?
Or just get a raise to keep from it in the from entering?
I mean, he was able to enter the portal if he wanted to, but he did not officially enter the portal now. But there was a lot of certainly behind-the-scenes chatter that he might.
It feels like what he did to kind of rattle the cages down there in Coral Gables, it feels like that is not going to be an isolated incident, in my opinion, Chris. Is that fair to say?
So there was talk
no,
that he
I mean,
wanted to raise. That's what
that
he was
happens all the
threatening to go to the
time.
portal.
Yeah, that happens all the time. I think in a lot of cases, players threaten to enter the portal. I use this example all the time. I reported on it last year. Like Xavier Worthy is a receiver at Texas, probably one of the 5 or 6 best receivers in the country going into next year. And after a true freshman season, when he was a true freshman All-American, a team in the Pac-12 tried to poach him for a mid-6-figure number, and he went to Texas and renegotiated his deal. Said he would go in the portal if they didn't essentially give him a raise. So this is happening literally everywhere in the FBS. Like every single school, players are leveraging the portal to potentially get a raise. And the Tyler Van Dyke situation was super notable because it got very close to actually happening, and it was a big name in college football. But it's definitely not a unique situation, in my opinion.
So we saw the Florida try to sign a quarterback. They offered him $3 million, didn't pay him anything, from what I understand. How much is that going on? Where they say, "Hey, we'll pay you if you come," and then they don't pay him.
That Florida situation's complicated. I think some of the reporting there has been exaggerated in some cases. But there's a lot of. This is a very new space of NIL, and you've got a lot of actors in the space that aren't vetted and in some cases aren't particularly reputable. And there's a lot of dollar figures promised. And I don't think in every situation a player is getting exactly what he thought he would. But I mean, at the end of the day, most of these guys have contracts, and it's not like once they're signed, you can really get out of them legally in a lot of cases. So, on a case-by-case basis, sure, there are definitely some individual examples of that happening, but I don't think it's the norm necessarily.
So, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm still learning all this myself. The portal closes on Sunday, but that's not the case for graduate transfers. They still have that. It's kind of they're the last man standing, if you will. Do I have that right?
Yeah, they have additional flexibility because of the graduating schedule. I need to double-check that rule specifically in the spring, but my understanding is that they have the ability to float or enter later than other people.
Well, I mean, this is how much has the portal changed just since you've covered it? How long have you been covering the portal, Chris?
I started covering the portal when it first existed. I remember. I mean, not maybe to the degree I do now, but I remember how big of a deal it was when Jalen Hurts went in the portal after the 2018 season.
That sounds
and
right.
I think that was the first. Kelly Bryant, I remember, was the first player who really made waves entering the transfer portal mid-season when Trevor Lawrence beat him out for the job. So I've been covering it to some degree since then. And due to rule changes, specifically a player's ability to transfer once in their career without having to sit a year in residence, the portal's completely changed, and it's changed the way college football operates to a significant degree. College football doesn't look anything like it did 5 or 6 years ago from a roster management perspective.
From talking to coaches, I mean, I know it's a level of getting used to a new normal, but at the same time, from the pulse of what you are hearing from coaches, I'm sure they're getting used to it, but do you hear anything universally? Do you always hear the same rhetoric, for lack of a better term, Chris, from the head coaches?
Rhetoric about their dislike
the portal.
For the portal.
The portal, that dislike, you tell me. I don't know.
No, I think it's like anything else. Coaches embrace it a different way. There's definitely some coaches that hate it because it's a lot of extra work. You have to recruit your rosters at all times. But I think like some forward-thinking coaches have really embraced it and looked at it a way to transform your roster in a way that you didn't have a couple of years ago, especially for new coaches. Like we saw this last year with Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly. Like you can turn a bad roster into a contender really quickly. We're seeing Arizona State and Colorado State take like almost 30 transfers each this offseason to flip their roster. So I certainly think there's some coaches that really embrace it as well.
Well, Chris, we appreciate your time sincerely, and maybe you can get some sleep come Sunday at midnight when that pumpkin finally will turn back into the carriage.
I hope so, but we'll still have guys going in Monday and Tuesday because it takes compliance a while. So, but yeah, it'll be a fun week. I'm sure everybody there will be no shortage of news to talk about.
Well, we're hearing loud screams from Tuscaloosa, so just hold on. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, Chris.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate y'all having me on.
That is Chris Hummer from 247 following the ever-changing portal. And, yeah, so the SEC, the only Power 5 school or only Power 5 conference to have that. I thought it was interesting, his argument for that. I wonder if other conferences will follow along or whether or not the SEC may change since they're the lone.
I think what they're trying to do is try to keep from the poaching going on in interconference and people offering.
Well, in theory, that sounds great, but nobody else is doing it.
Yeah, well, maybe they need to.
Maybe. There is plenty of quarterbacks that are in the portal as we speak. I saw Logan Smothers from this area, formerly of Nebraska. He is now in the transfer portal, and he's got 2 years of eligibility, but there is plenty of quarterbacks that have already changed landing spots, and you almost need a slide ruler to figure out, as Sam Hartman has already gone from Wake Forest to Notre Dame. And I'm sure that probably led to a certain Notre Dame quarterback going into the transfer portal. Devin Leary goes from NC State to Kentucky. Hudson Card went from Texas to Purdue. Walker Howard went from LSU to Ole Miss. Tanner Mordecai went from SMU to Wisconsin. DJ Uiagalelei goes from Clemson to Oregon State. Spencer Sanders goes from Oklahoma State to Ole Miss. Graham Mertz goes from Wisconsin to Florida. So there's a lot going on. Luke Altmaier goes from Ole Miss to Illinois. So there's a lot of familiar names.
As Coach Saban said a long time ago, you don't have to worry about signing. You want to sign at least one quarterback a year because it'll take care of itself.
Indeed. Sports Center update. We're walking you up to Braves baseball here as we're live on campus at Woody Anderson Ford. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. If you've been considering owning a new Mustang, Explorer, Expedition, Edge, Escape, or Bronco Sport, we have 0% financing for 60 months on 22 models of those vehicles. This won't last long because as we sell off our 2022s, 0 for 60 goes with it. When they're gone, they're gone. Let me repeat, Woody Anderson Ford has 22 models of Bronco Sport, Explorer, Escape, Edge, Expedition, and Mustang with financing as low as 0% for up to 60 months. But when they're gone, it's gone. And of course, it's with your good credit through Ford Motor Credit. This offer ends April 29th. Woody Anderson Ford can also help you trade in and trade up on a Ford Blue Advantage Gold Certified or Blue Certified pre-owned vehicle. Great warranties, 24-hour roadside assistance, and a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Don't forget 0 for 60 on select 22 models while they last. Woody Anderson Ford, hope to see you soon.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. 3 series clinching opportunities in the first round of the NBA playoffs tonight. About to tip in Cleveland. Game 5 for the Knicks and Cavaliers, with New York leading the series 3-1. The Lakers and Heat will also try to close out series on the road tonight. The Lakers in Memphis against the Grizzlies, and the Heat in Milwaukee against the Bucks. Also tonight, the Warriors and Kings play Game 5 in Sacramento. That series tied at 2. ESPN's Tim Legler.
De'Aaron Fox is limited or doesn't play. I think he's going to give it a go. If he's limited, it's just not himself, and we're going to know that pretty early on. I don't know how the Kings have enough firepower to deal with Golden State. And then Steph Curry, they still have not really gotten physical with him or disrupted his rhythm at all. That has to change if you want to beat the Warriors.
Tim Legler on Get Up. Coverage of the Kings and Warriors starts at 9:30 Eastern here on ESPN Radio. Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard has a torn meniscus in his right knee. The Clippers were eliminated in 5 games by the Suns in the first round. There's a Stanley Cup playoff doubleheader tonight on ESPN. About to face off in Boston, the Bruins and Panthers. Boston leading the series 3-1. That's followed by the Kraken and Avalanche in Denver. That series tied at 2. The Pirates will sign outfielder Brian Reynolds to a contract extension. ESPN has learned the new deal is for 8 years and almost $107 million. That leaves only 3 teams who've never signed a 9-figure player contract: the A's, the Royals, and the White Sox.
Coming up Thursday, as the first round comes to a close, has my opinion of who will win the title changed? Wait till you hear my answer. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Once again, we were pretty guest-heavy in hour number 1. We're live here at Woody Anderson Ford. Phone lines open to you right now at 256-576-4977, 256-576-4977. All this portal talk makes things clear as mud, doesn't it? It just clears it away as we enter in this different world of college football. 328 vehicles are currently available right now here at Woody Anderson Ford. If you want to schedule a service, you can also do that as well online, but you can also custom order vehicles. It's all right here at Woody Anderson Ford, also online at woodyAndersonFord.com. There is one story that I wanted to get to yesterday that I didn't get a chance to. This is from over the weekend. The Southeastern Conference is thinking of implementing another rule, specifically for storming the field. And Sports Illustrated writes it this way, and I'll just read this verbatim. And picture this scenario. On September 30th in Jordan-Hare Stadium, Auburn takes down number 1 undefeated 2-time reigning national champion Georgia. The fans celebrate for their first victory over the Dogs since 2017 by storming the field. In response, the SEC moves Auburn's next home game against Georgia in 2025 to Athens. The Tigers would play the Bulldogs between the hedges 3 straight years, 24, 25, 26. That would be the price for storming the field moving forward.
Well, you know how my thing about storming the field has been consistent the whole time. That might make them stop them. I think it's.
Would it stop them?
Well, you would hope it would. It costs your school a bunch of money.
I find it hard to believe October 15th last year in Knoxville, Tennessee, that they were not storming the field after they beat Bama.
If the university wants to, they can stop them, Steve. Boy, they stopped them in Birmingham.
There wasn't a whole lot of security.
Well, exactly.
Kneeling.
That's what they didn't care. They almost asked for them to do it. They ought to have been just going like this. Come on down. I mean, there's no security.
I was on the field. There were security people guiding them which way to go on the field.
That's what I'm saying. Listen.
So you like this?
Have you? Well, I'm on the fence on it right now. My first reaction is that they, if they don't know how to keep their people off the field, which they can easily do. Listen, have you ever seen anybody rush the field in Birmingham?
In Birmingham?
Yeah. Did you ever see anybody rush the field?
No.
Did you? I did.
When?
Oh, a couple of times they tried. It looked like a warm up in a baseball game. They just they'd get the bats out and they'd let them have it. But that's what you know.
That's Legion Field for you.
Well, I'm just saying, that's what you have to do. There has to be consequences for breaking the law. It's against the law to run on the field. You're not supposed to be out there. You put other people in jeopardy when you do it, especially the things they do.
The Tennessee-Alabama game was also featured in this Sports Illustrated article, and the Randy Boyd, who is a dedicated Vol fan and has had season tickets for quite some time, according to the article, said, even if it costs my team a home game, I'm going to enjoy my victory cigar on the field.
Well, I mean, he can enjoy his victory cigar. He ought to. That's nothing wrong with that. But on the field's the issue.
So I can tell you from personal experience, there was more than just cigars being smoked. Kneeling that night, having to go through that swarm of Vol Nation from one end to the other. I picked the wrong end zone to stand in, is my point. Ryan is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Ryan, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. How about you guys? A good day today for you?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all.
So I went to the 8A game over the weekend. Did one of you go or both of you go?
No, neither of us went. Drew DeArmond went.
So tell me if you agree with this. So when I was at the game, I actually got really good vibes from Dylan Lonergan. He made me feel very confident, more so than the other, three. It almost seemed like in order of who did the best, it was Lonergan, then Simpson, Milroe, and then Holstein. And so what do you all think? Do you think there's a remote chance that Lonergan could be the starter? And what about the guy from Notre Dame potentially coming here? And if that happens, who's going in the portal if he comes? What do you all think about that?
So I'll say this.
Yes.
Steve's looking at me.
Yes.
I think Lonergan did really good. I think it's hard to judge on a spring game. I think Lonergan was in when the threes were in a couple of times also. He wasn't going against the first-team defense, which makes a big, big difference, especially when you realize that three of the best players on the team didn't play in the spring game on the defensive side. I think the defense is going to be loaded next year with a lot of people that can make plays. Can they put them in the right positions? Yada, yada, you know that. So, but as far as quarterback, my suspicion, I don't know anything. My suspicion, and it looks to me, what I'm hearing is the Notre Dame quarterback is coming to Alabama. I believe that somebody will hit transfer portal, but I don't know anything for sure. I don't think they know for sure. So I know there's a bunch of.
How good is that guy?
I don't know. I don't think he's going to be. I heard Paul say that they promised him a starting day. He hadn't done anything like that. They don't promise anything. You're not promised anything when you come to Tuscaloosa. They're going to play the best guy to win, as Coach Saban said.
He certainly knows the system.
Yeah, well, I think he could probably help the other quarterbacks, if nothing. I think Lonergan has a lot of – I think you watch them, what they do. How many times did they run the read option after Milroy scored? I can tell you they didn't. He runs it very well. It puts a lot of pressure on your defense with those running backs and that running back, and you got to tackle that quarterback and those running backs. You got to tackle man on man, mano a mano, and you do that for a whole game. A lot of pressure on you, and you got to. So they can spread the field, I think, with any of them. Ty Simpson, to me, was the best quarterback going into the spring, throwing wise. But what do they want to do? So I don't think we haven't seen the worst performance I saw in the spring was the running back, Steve. I always forget his name. You remember how horrible he couldn't complete a pass. And then the next year we went into the.
You're talking about Blake Sims.
Blake Sims. So I think you can't. It's hard to. Everybody says that Alabama doesn't have a quarterback. I disagree. I think they got 3 to 4 they can play and win with the people around them. What I question is, will the offensive line, the key to all this, because we don't have Bryce Young. He's gone. He's going to probably be the first pick tomorrow. And the reason for it is he's really good. And none of these guys are Bryce Young. They're different type quarterbacks. But to me, you can win with these guys, but if your offensive line has to be dominant. They can't be like they were last year and play for 3 quarters or play for 2.5 quarters or get in the red zone 5 times and can't get a yard against LSU. You can't do that. You couldn't do it with Bryce Young. You certainly can't do it. You can't do it without him. You can't have the wide receivers bust 17 plays in the LSU game. 17. You can't do that. So this team could have a better record than last year's team. They'll have that opportunity. But they have the offensive line, the defensive line. They have to play better than they did last year. They do.
Yeah. We're going to have Cheetah 2.0 this year. Turner, Keon Keeley, and then who's the other guy? I'm having a moment. Last name is B. Who's the other starting linebacker besides Dallas? Chris Broswell. So Broswell, Turner.
And I'm going to tell you that Quindarius, what was his name?
Robinson. That is a good story about him. Because remember what happened to him a year ago?
Yes. And you look at that kid, he had a hell of a spring. He did. I think you'll see a lot of, which you have to have depth. You got to be able to bring them in and have players when other people get dinged up in the game. So I was happy with, I can tell you the numbers, 20, 32. Those are 3 guys they didn't have last year. They are always around the ball. That's hard to coach. Always around the ball. And then you throw those guys in. I think the defense is going to be fine.
Yep.
I think that hopefully the corners will be better. Number 3 will be better. That Des Ricks, he has a chance to be really, really good. I think that's why the other guy transferred that was doing well because Des Ricks he knew that he was going to have trouble starting or playing. I wish he'd have stayed because I like the competition, right? Remember Malachi Moore started before the guy that's going to get drafted in the first or second round.
Brian.
Brian Branch. He started before him, and then by the end of the year, Brian kind of beat him out, and Malachi got hurt. So iron sharpens iron. Competition is awesome, and really the guys that leave, to me, I question at early age. I can get if you're a junior and you're 3rd string or your 2nd string, but you're not playing a lot. I get why you'd leave and try to play.
Yeah. So Before I go, because I got to go soon, but do you think there's more expectations this year than there were last year? Which there was a lot of expectations.
No, I think there's less.
Last year.
I think last year we were preseason number one. I don't think Alabama would be preseason number one, but I think they'll be in the top 5. And, the key to me is to have a good first game, but you got to beat Texas. Texas is going to be a good football team.
So the biggest assumption going into media days was not if Bama can win the West. It was who else is going to be in the Final Four with Bama in the college football playoff. That was more or less what was said at media days last year, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So those expectations.
Which is the kiss of death.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate the phone call. 256-576-4977. 256-576-4.
I think I said something without really saying it, didn't I? I don't think I said it. Yeah.
You did a very good impersonation of Pat Dye right there. A very good impersonation.
I miss that sucker.
Yeah. It was what he wouldn't say that you'd want to.
Yeah, key in on.
Yes. 256-576-4977 is the telephone number. I mentioned the ambush tour heading to Huntsville tomorrow. Yesterday, the Auburn ambush tour was in Atlanta. John Cohen, the Auburn athletic director, he was asked about scheduling and what we can expect at the spring meetings down in Destin in late May.
Well, what I do know is we've got to make that decision because obviously it's about the 24 season. A lot has to happen quickly. I see benefits to both sides of that issue with the 8-9 game schedule. And I think a lot of the athletic directors feel the same way. There's a merit in both ways, both options. So, our league has always, through Greg Sankey, has always done a great job guiding us, not only the athletic directors, but the presidents as well, the chancellors. So we will make the best decision for the Southeastern Conference collectively, and I look forward to discussing that in the room.
So we are of the assumption, us out here that are not athletic directors and not inside, that 9 games is going to happen and that the 3 crossovers are going to happen. Hearing that from John Cohen makes me think those assumptions are maybe not as guaranteed as we all think they are.
Well, I never thought they were guaranteed, and I've been saying that the whole time. I don't think that anything is guaranteed until they make that final decision. I mean,
is it the right thing to do?
I don't think they ought to have. I think they just ought to have a rotating schedule. I don't think they ought to have
kind of like what's in place right now.
No, I don't think that. Well, personally, I don't think they ought to have an SEC championship game.
Well, that's obviously not going anyway anytime soon.
But I just think they ought to have the best. If they do this, the best 2 people don't have East or West. I like the East or West, but I get having to do away with it. But I don't like the pod thing that much either. If you're not gonna make it fair, why not just have a rotating schedule? That's the fairest thing to do.
Especially with Texas and Oklahoma coming in. It has to expand. The conference schedule has to expand. There's just no way around it. And the elimination of divisions, I would assume, also going to dissolve when we head down to Destin. My assumption.
We'll see.
You think there's a potential of divisions sticking?
Well, yeah, I think that's what he just kind of hinted, that they haven't decided on anything.
Yeah.
I don't. There are a lot smarter people thinking about exactly what to do, but the thing about it is, whatever the money is, that's what they're going to do. That's consistent about it. It doesn't matter what's smart. I mean, all this stuff they're talking about with shortening the game, I don't like it.
Winding the clock.
Yeah, winding the clock. I hate it.
Yeah.
I mean,
basically eliminating 7 or 8 plays is how they're selling it, but you don't know if that's 7 or 8 plays.
They're eliminating 7 or 8 plays while there are people trying to get preseason games, and they're going to play 15 games now or 16, more than that. 16, you can play up to 16 or 17 games.
Yeah.
I mean, when does it end? But we're going to save that 7 plays. That's going to help you there. Crazy.
And usually, especially in a very close game, how often do we hear it comes down to 4 or 5 plays?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to change how you play the end of the game. It's going to be making you run out the clock. I mean, it doesn't matter if you throw the ball now on second or third down. If there's 2.5 minutes left, you can throw it or run it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Only thing about throwing is you could turn it over. It's easier to turn the ball over now, but they have these routes now where, that you could argue that's probably not going to happen either. So, yeah, I don't like it.
We're live here at Woody Anderson Ford. Let's go ahead and take an early timeout here. Walking you up to Braves baseball. Braves and Marlins. Braves looking to sweep out the fish later on.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Guys, music can inspire us. Let the concert quality sound system at Zoom Indoor Cycling help push you harder than you ever thought possible. No matter if you're a beginner or an experienced rider, you'll ride top-of-the-line Stages SC3 bikes as the most talented instructors in North Alabama motivate you to reach your goals.
You can do it!
Zone Indoor Cycling is this week's Zone deal. Get a $100 certificate for just $50. Get yours Thursday morning at 977ESPN.com. $2 specialty shoe rental per ride for new riders. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, Managing Partner of University Kia, letting you know we are proud supporters of Crimson Tide football. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com for all our great offers. And get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in a Kia. Roll Tide!
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives. If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Coming up tomorrow, in fact, at this time tomorrow, we're going to hand things over to ESPN Radio for the NFL Draft. Your prop bets heading into tomorrow. Your odds-on favorite as it stands as of this moment, according to our partners over at VEASAN. Your number one overall pick. Here are your latest odds. This, and make sure this is updated from today, and it is Bryce Young at a minus 270 to be the first overall pick. That's followed by C.J. Stroud. Number 3 on that list is Anthony Richardson.
To be the first pick?
So to be the first overall pick, followed by Will Levis, Will Anderson, and Jalen Carter. If Anthony Richardson's name is somehow called,
Did you see that Georgia was sued today for $2 million for the wreck?
Yes, by the family. Yes. Incidentally, Will Anderson also has the highest odds of being the first defensive player being drafted, according to VEASAN. He's at a minus 150 to be the first defensive player to be drafted in tomorrow night's draft. So a big day for Alabama, at least from a program perspective, coming up tomorrow, Wes.
Oh, no question. I mean, absolutely. Has anybody ever had the first and second pick?
Yes. The last time it happened was 2000. I would have to look up the draft from 2000. I listened to a Zoom call, and they went over those it's only happened 3 times, and the last time was 2000. That was Penn State when Courtney Brown and LeVar Arrington, I was defensive end and a linebacker that went 1 and 2.
Pretty good players, too.
Yeah. LeVar lasted a while.
So did Courtney Brown.
Third in that 2000 draft was some offensive tackle named Chris Samuels, who went to the Washington Redskins.
Still lives in that area. Actually coached for a while at Alabama, or helped out.
Oh, that was also the draft. Sebastian Janikowski. He was drafted in the first round by the Raiders. Yep. Sean Alexander was the 19th overall pick in that draft to the Seahawks.
Out pretty good, too.
Yeah. Titans had a good one as well in their first round when they were 30th. Keith Bullock, the linebacker out of Syracuse, he was a productive player for the Titans for a good long time. But, I mean, one thing is for certain, this quarterback class, there is going to be a success and there is going to be a bust.
So it had, going back to what we were talking to about, it happened twice before?
I was told 3 times,
so
but the last time.
Times?
Well,
do you know?
I just know the last time of 2000. I'm trying to remember exactly. You know what? Let me pull up my cheat code here, if I have it. And this is from Chase Goodbread asking the question, and I think he says the years.
What is the likelihood or unlikelihood that Bryce Young and Will Anderson could be to go off the board 1-2. It's only happened that the same school has done that 3 times in the history of the draft. The last time was 2000, so obviously it would be pretty significant historically.
Well, first of all, before I answer that question, I'm going to ask you one real quick, Chase. How long after that were to happen before Alabama's football would tweet out the money that both those players are going to make in the NFL and the nugget that you just tossed out there?
About half a second.
Yeah. No question.
You know where Coach Saban's going to be tomorrow night? He will be in Kansas City, Missouri, hanging out with a group of his former players as they take that next step to the National Football League.
So where do you think Jalen Carter? I mean,
he'll be a mid-first rounder. He's just too talented not to be taken.
I mean, somebody's going to get a deal.
But, yeah, someone's going to get a real good deal. And I just hope the incident has sobered him up, for lack of a better term, to make the right decisions moving forward, because this is a big opportunity he has, and he can either squander it or make the most out of it. But at least hearing from people that I read on 247 as well as ESPN.com is that he hasn't exactly taken the interview process completely well either to teams, and that's being another part of the dings on his resume. But there is no questioning the talent that Jalen Carter has.
Not 100% about that.
But it's that whole...
I get it.
That whole juggling act.
Well, I mean, I don't know exactly. It was a group of people that were having a good time that went over the line. Yeah. And that's when accidents happen.
Yep.
It's always the guy that's going to be the first round draft pick that you hear the most about.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy who's still alive, and the other ones aren't, so they can't be blamed. But I think there was a lot of mistakes made that night by a lot of people, and I just hate that it happened. Period. But you got to get on with your life. I mean, things like that happen, unfortunately, and
so my track.
It wasn't like he was. I don't even know. Does anybody know the whole circumstance of what happened? Why was he charged with anything? Because he was racing them. They were racing on the road.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Did they wreck into each other?
I did not read the full police report. I know the police report is out, but I have not read the full police report. But getting back to the quarterback class, we know there's going to be a bust in this quarterback class.
Oh, yeah, but it might not even be their fault. That's the thing about it.
It could be in the wrong system.
Yeah, wrong quarterback.
So,
Coach Granville will be breaking it down on the NFL Network, by the way.
When is that happening?
I guess tomorrow. He's on his way up there right now in his police car. He really has a police car. He bought a police car.
I asked him if you needed a police escort, that I know a guy, and he said, ha, 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 ha.
Well, he said, eat your heart out when he sent me the picture. He told me to get in mine and meet him up there. He's so funny. Yeah.
By the way, saying something without saying something, if you're a fan of Jerry Glanville on this particular program, we may have a big announcement coming up for you coming up this summer that would ramp up the game a little bit. But anyway, hopefully we can make that happen. But quarterback-wise, Bryce Young, is that the one you feel most secure about in this draft class?
I don't ever feel secure, no. I mean, I don't. Bryce Young is, I think anytime you draft a quarterback, it's he's special, but what system is he going to go to? Who are they going to put around him? Are they going to be able to block anybody? I mean, if he
at the Panthers,
you look at. I think Tua, if he was surrounded by better people, the first year they would have been better. And then they lost some people last year in the offensive line.
Yeah,
and you got to back up and throw, and you got 1-2, and you got to put it in a spot. in the NFL, and you're running a different system than you ran the previous. I mean, it's just hard to. It's just a lot to it, and the game is it is so fast. Those guys are so fast, and it's like everybody's that fast. So,
well, as negatively as I feel about Anthony Richardson, I feel the complete opposite about Hendon Hooker. I think Hendon Hooker, to me, feels like your prototypical NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got to stay healthy for obvious reasons. But to me, his throws, his rhythm.
Well, he has the thing that Jalen Hurts has about not turning the ball over.
Exactly.
And you can win by doing that. And they say he's a system quarterback.
Give me that system every day of the week.
Maybe they need Tennessee's coach in the NFL. Maybe they're running the wrong system. Because his system worked pretty well, which was throw it to the open guy on time and very accurate. And that's what I thought people were looking for. I mean, instead of picking a guy and that ran a different system that didn't run it very well, but was really a great athlete who has, quote, unquote, great upside.
Mm-hmm.
But is he accurate? No. I think that is throwing a ball, throwing it on time, and being accurate is the hardest thing to have. In the story.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that's not teachable. I mean, you can get better at it.
And then you get
Jalen Hurts got better at it, right? I mean, it can happen.
And then you've got certain,
but not overnight.
But you've also got certain owners that run their draft room like this.
Drafting's not our problem. Coaching is.
I mean,
I thought the funniest thing that Coach said yesterday, but he wasn't. He was being serious.
Yeah.
That's Dion.
Yes.
I mean, they're going to have 90 draft picks when he cuts everybody when he gets there, going to the Dallas Cowboys. That Jerry loves Dion. So we'll see if Jerry can live long enough to see that. That's going to be.
Mm-hmm. That's going to take a minute up in Boulder.
You realize that was the other firing, Jimmy Johnson. He fired Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. I'll still never forget that.
Because there wasn't enough credit. He wasn't getting enough credit.
They were at the same table, and it was him saying, well, we're making a change. I'll never forget that press conference.
Yeah, they're making a change because he wasn't getting enough credit. His roommate was.
Yeah.
It's just nuts.
It was some article that Coach Johnson read saying, oh, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can come in here and coach this team. And that kind of just broke it loose, and he said, okay, all right, I'm out.
Well, you know, he used to say that yeah. But that obviously was wrong. Since that next year with Jimmy Johnson's players and really Larry Lacewell's players.
The very next year they lost to the 49ers in the championship round, but then they won the Super Bowl the following year after that with Barry Switzer because, after all,
drafting's not our problem. Coaching is.
Yeah, good night. Amazing.
All right, I appreciate the fine folks here at Woody Anderson Ford for hosting us. We are going to punt to the Braves as Bryce Elder is on the mound for the Braves here tonight as they are looking for the sweep. Braves baseball comes up next after our final timeout. We'll talk to you tomorrow to lead up to the draft.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We've all heard the phrase, what's in a name? When it comes to your comfort, the name means everything. Environmental Comfort Systems is the name to remember when it comes to your home's comfort. Environmental means our systems are environmentally friendly, even more environmentally friendly than systems sold just a few years ago. And comfort, well, that's our middle name. Our systems are built to keep you and your family comfortable for years to come. And last but not least, we install systems and not units. Our systems are designed specifically for your home, based on your home's square footage and the way it faces the sun. Environmental Comfort Systems does more than just sell air conditioners. We install comfort systems that will make your home a more enjoyable